I was born and raised here in Tondo, Manila. So whenever I go out on the street, going to school, I would hear yung mga racial slur, like for example, inchik, beho, chekwa, diba, singkit. And it has been always in my mind that I need to prove myself towards others. I really work so hard. I turn night into day into night. I sold everything that I can get my hands onto. I really am so thankful and grateful because of those hardships. I turned my pain into my gain. I turned my scars into stars rather than becoming a victim of this situation. I'm proud to be Filipino-Chinese, and at the same time, I'm proud to be part of this campaign. It will promote the culture of the Filipino and the Chinese. There are a lot of good things that we can learn from the Filipino, and likewise, there are a lot of good things that we can learn from the Chinese. Catch me on Chinoy TV presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart, only on CNN Philippines.
Hi, I'm Camille Ko, a content creator and entrepreneur. I am of Chinese heritage. I'm of Chinese ancestry, but I was born and raised in the Philippines. All my friends know this from school. Like, they really know my parents by name because they know that my parents are so strict. They're very involved in my life. And I definitely have really Chinoy values. I grew up speaking Chinese. At home, we weren't allowed to speak Filipino to our parents. We had to do really well with our Chinese studies because my parents really feel that it's important for us to, have a connection to our roots and to really not forget where our ancestors came from. I'm so happy that there's a campaign like this where we can bridge differences and truly come together so that everyone can have an understanding of this whole movement. Catch me on Chinoy TV Presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart on CNN Philippines.
I'm Kenneth Cabonpue, and I'm an industrial designer. I grew up into a sort of pseudo-traditional Chinese family. My father was a traditional Chinese businessman, and my mother was working always from the house. She was a designer who built furniture literally from our backyard. Every night before going to bed, she would read stories of fairy tales and different stories from faraway lands. After I drifted off to sleep with these stories, the next morning would find me wanting to recreate these stories using the materials that I found. Since I grew up in the Philippines, everything that I know, my inspiration, my whole history, my culture, everything that I do is inspired by the Philippines. I feel very honored and feel very proud to be part of a campaign to try to rediscover and find out what is it that makes a Chinoy. Watch me on Chinoy TV Presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart, only on CNN Philippines.
Hi, I'm Joseldo C. I'm the chairman and CEO of Ever Belena Cosmetics. I was raised here. Although my background is Chinese, I still believe that we are culturalized from a Chinese blood into a Filipino national. So I blended both together to best fit of what I am here in the Filipino community and work as a good Filipino citizen. I hope my little sharing and wisdom will help our next generation to know what we're doing and where we're coming from, and looking forward to see the younger generations. I'm inviting everybody to watch Chinoy TV Presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart, only on CNN Philippines.
Hello, I'm Yvette Tan. I'm a writer. I write horror, fiction. So I have a couple of books. When you grow up Chinoy, you don't know you're growing up Chinoy because you kind of live in a bubble. To be fair to my parents raised me very well, but I guess there was always the pressure to be a certain person that I wasn't, not just in the family, but also outside. Because of that, I got bullied. I didn't know how to deal with people. So I think this is what contributed to me escaping into books. I write a lot of fiction. The thing about fiction is it may not be real. It may come from somebody else's imagination, but it's a bridge for the reader to think in a different way, to see things from a different point of view. And I think that holds power. I am so proud and so honored to be part of this campaign that promotes Filipino-Chinese culture, because it's about time that people learned about Chinoys and our contributions to society. Watch me on Chinoy TV presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart, only on CNN Philippines.
My name is Karen Ibasco, you Mr. 2017. I'm a host, a speaker, and an image consultant. I grew up in a family where beauty wasn't so much focused on, because in a Chinoy family, it was more of career. So I grew up not knowing that I look good or I can look good. I was just focused on studies, even though that's the kind of tradition I grew up. In time, I was built with the right values. So as you grow up, you would understand more of beauty and in the processes or situations that you go through in life. But values being founded in you would be the greatest foundation that your parents can ever give you. And that's how I started. Values and education were the things that were instilled in me as young as I was. I never thought that I have made that impact in my community, and I continually want to share my story and encourage other people to do the same in their own journey, because we can achieve more together and we can encourage more people to be in the path where they are called and created to be. Watch me on Chinoy TV presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart, only on CNN Philippines.
Hi, my name is Chris Tan. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm also a life coach, and I also act, and I dabble in cryptocurrency. So growing up as a Chinoy was a little bit challenging because I had very singkit eyes, and I would always be made fun of because my eyes were so small. So I had a little bit of an insecurity about that growing up. I also am very moreno, so that was a weird mix, and people found that very weird and made fun of that in my school. Well, the good thing about me was I'm never really one to allow anyone to talk down on me or make fun of me. I actually looked at it as a challenge to be accepted, not just by me, but by my peers, and to look beyond the physical. This is something that I think is important to be able to get out there so that people understand that Chinoys are also Filipinos. And we are more Filipino than we are Chinese, actually, because this is where we grew up. Although we bring our Chinese culture as a part of it, our hearts are still here in the Philippines. Watch me on Chinoy TV presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart, only on CNN Philippines.
Hi, I'm Valerie Tan. I've been a TV and events host for 15 years already. I'm also a content creator. I do lifestyle and travel vlogs, and I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm very fortunate in the fact that my parents are very supportive with my career of choice, because as a Filipino Chinese, diba, the usual stereotype is you're expected to be a doctor, an accountant, an engineer, and of course, an entrepreneur. But for us, me and my siblings, we all had different career paths, and my parents were very, very supportive of each of our choices. So they would bring me to all the auditions, and up until I was starting already and struggling to get a project on TV, they were there for me. They were truly 100% supportive and gave me 100% unconditional love and support. I'm very lucky in that aspect. It is an honor, and truly I'm humbled to be part of this roster, to share my story as a modern Chinoy and to find representation for their own stories and their own journeys. Catch me on Chinoy TV Presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart on CNN Philippines.
My name is Stan C. I am a sportscaster and a voice talent. So when I was growing up, I was bullied because of my name. I was bullied because I was bookish. I was considered a nerdy kid. And in a way, pag na-color ka na into your little box, hindi na nila ma-i-imagine na you can step out of your box. When I was being bullied, it was really people making me feel bad about myself, making me feel that I shouldn't have any self-confidence, any self-esteem. So it wasn't necessarily about like what I wanted to be or who I am. It was more of who they thought I was. My goal was to reinvent myself. So that's why I wanted to do everything I wanted to do. What I've seen in my career is that a lot of the opportunities that opened up for me was because I put myself out there and I simply asked, even if the opportunity didn't exist. One of the things I really believe in is representation. It's something that I really stood for and wanted to push for. And I'm glad that this season we're expanding beyond coverage of Chinoys inside Metro Manila. So it's great that we're hearing all these stories because it adds more diversity and more flavor into the overall picture of what being a Chinoy is.
Hi, I'm Rains Mika. I'm a fashion model and I model professionally and internationally. I got into modeling when I was 15. I actually didn't expect to get into modeling. I was rather scouted by a talent agent. And when I tried it out, I think no one actually knew what was modeling. In the Chinoy community, well, I would get comments like, what is she doing? It also made me question myself, what am I doing? I was just having fun and learning from the mentors who discovered me in the talent agency. And eventually, I found a place for myself in this confusing world. I found that modeling actually made me found this group of people where I felt like I belonged to. It's really exciting because I get to share my story to everyone, to the Chinoy community, and it allows me to also learn more about myself and inspire others. And I hope a lot more of the Chinoys would get into the type of field I did in modeling. Watch me as Chinoy TV presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart, only on CNN Philippines.
I'm Father Ari D. of the Society of Jesus. I'm president of Savior School, a Chinese-Filipino Catholic Jesuit school. My family moved to the suburbs, which San Juan was at that time, in the early 1960s. I think for my grandfather, that was like a step up, moving from Chinatown to the suburbs. No, there was nothing in Little Baguio and San Juan at that time. You look at the old pictures and you realize that. No? So because of that move, then they were very far from Chinatown, from the Chinese schools where my own parents studied. So they wanted to preserve Chinese language and culture. Thankfully, by that time, by the early 60s, both Savior School and Immaculate Conception Academy were already in San Juan. They also made the move to the suburbs. So that's where I was sent along with my brothers. We, grew up in a Catholic environment where faith was something that was part of life. No, we went to Catholic school. So I grew up in that kind of environment. What makes me proud as a Chinoy is the different layers of our identity. We belong to different worlds, for most of them Chinese and Filipino, and that's something to celebrate and be proud of. Watch me on Chinoy TV presents Chinese by Blood, Filipino by Heart, only in CNN Philippines.
Chinese by blood, Filipino by heart. #Beyond Borders is brought to you by Doña Maria Brown Rice, my kind of rice, from SL Agritech. BA Securities, your trading partner in Asia Pacific. Dash Cargo, propelling possibilities. SM Supermalls.
I guess my influence on my kid is not telling them what to do, but telling them to explore on what their strength would be. My eldest son, Eric, he helped me run the food business. My second son, Enrico Jr., runs Sunny's group. My eldest daughter, Erica, runs our finances. My youngest daughter, Bea, is now into pre-owned, pre-loved, sustainable wardrobe sales online. So my influence in them is not what business that they should put in, but how to do business. Their success is my success. That's, I think, for every parent's wanted to happen. Hi, I'm Rikki D, founder, CEO of Foodee Global Concepts. I grew up in the province. We grew up in the lumber yard. We operate a sawmill in Quezon. I practically was living in a house where your morning wake-up call is the humming of the machines and the roaring of the truck engines in the morning. We grew up seeing our parents, my grandparents as well, working in the lumber yard, and it was amazing to see how they turned things around. My father was a great provider, to the extent of deciding to sell the business that we used to have in the province to settle in Manila. For him, we will have a better opportunity living in Manila and studying in Manila. So that was a great sacrifice on him, from moving from the province to Manila, a sudden change in his lifestyle as well. But he was able to provide us the platform of where we are today. My dad's greatest influence in me was appreciating good food. I used to tag along with my dad when he goes to the provinces, out of town for a sales pitch or a collection. And he makes it to a point to try the best cuisine of each and every town. And I got used to it. So I think he was able to introduce to me the taste. That's what I have today. In fact, even abroad, my first Japanese meal, my first French continental meals were all influenced by my dad. I used to work with my dad in the construction business. The calling to put up a restaurant was there. I also felt that there's more value added in what I'm going to do next, because we used to sell commodity. It's all about pricing. So with restaurants, I felt that you can create food, you can do your own price points, you can tweak. So I felt more challenges in the food industry. My first restaurant grew out of my passion for food. Strangely, we specialize in fish head. We cannot get fish head in any restaurants. And me personally, I love fish head. So we came up with the idea of putting up a fish head specialty restaurant. We were getting a lot of good reviews from gourmets, from tycoons, taipans, and one of them was the late Taipan hen cuisine. He loves fish head as well. He wants a different variation of the fish head into soup, steam, to the extent that he was visiting us almost every week. He gave me my biggest break and opportunity to put up my first fast food stall in his SM North EDSA. It was very hard to get a space in that particular mall because it was the first integrated mall in Manila. But he assured me to put up a selected space where we really started. That break gave us an opportunity to grow with SM. During those years, we followed where SM put up their malls, and we would always be a part of their developments. We basically grew with SM. We've been asked why are we bringing foreign brands, and then, well, I guess the opportunity is there. In fact, we are also now going to bring out our brands abroad. Our Mesa is opening most likely by the end of the year. It was deferred during the pandemic, but we're hoping to open one in the Middle East and one in the United States. So it's a reciprocity. We try to bring in new concepts, we learn from them, and as we go on, we will bring out our local brands as well. Our Sunny's, recently, Sunny's Sabara is my second son's business. We do optical shop, sunglasses, and cosmetic. We recently launched our store and online stores in the US, which was widely accepted. We also went to Vietnam 2 years ago, and we are going into Malaysia and Singapore in the coming month.
Hi, my name is Eric Thomas D. I'm the COO of Foodee Global Concepts. I think it's not a secret that our family is very close family. We're a very tight-knit family. We all live in one house. And for some people, that might be shocking. But for us, it's what's normal, right? We get along together. We work in the same industry. Work and family life is always jumbled and mixed in between.
I think it's an achievement of some sort. 3 generations living in one house, you get to share a lot of things. We talk about family, we talk about business, we talk about future, past, and present.
This is Pound, one of our 10 stores in Metro Manila. It's located at the 2nd floor Mega Fashion Hall. Pound is a spin-off from our food hall concept that we opened up back in 2012. Well, we started off with a bang and we're able to open 10 stores and continually opening a few more stores this year. Guys, let's check out Tim Ho Wan and a couple more of our restaurants here in Mega Mall. Hi, we're here at Tim Ho Wan, the Philippines' first Michelin-rated restaurant in the country. And at that time was considered the cheapest Michelin star in the world. We currently have 10 stores around Metro Manila, including Cebu. We brought Tim Ho Wan to the Philippines because it has phenomenal food. Filipinos love it, and it's also very affordable. My father was pretty young when we were born, so he was really hard at work. Everything that he showed us was really about living a life that revolved around working and making sure that we are set up for the future. So growing up, my dad would always bring us to job sites, would always bring us to the restaurants. I remember growing up with waiters and also I go to wet markets to buy fish. It was good memories for me. And looking back, I did realize that because of that, whenever I'm in a restaurant, I feel like I'm at home. This is what I know and this is what I love.
All my kids have to work during their summer break. We call it immersion.
I was a dishwasher at my dad's restaurant when I was 13 years old. To be honest, it wasn't something that I asked for. My dad just put me in that position and I just had to live with it. Working as a dishwasher, working in the fast foods, and learning from the bottom up has really helped me develop as a person. Growing up, I've always worked with people wherein I really had to prove myself and say that I didn't come to this position just because I'm the son of the owner, but I really had to prove myself. And because of that, I'm able to relate with my employees and able to explain to them the journey that took me to where I am today. Well, as the saying goes, COO, child of owner. It wasn't easy. Earlier, during the start of working with my dad, we had to butt heads. And I think just being real about it, that it wasn't smooth sailing all the way. We had to understand each other. We had to make sure that we respected each other's boundaries. Another thing that my dad really trained us to do was to work outside of the company. And I think working outside of the company that my father did not own really trained us to be working a 9-to-5, following rules, and knowing the dynamic of a working environment. Then coming back to working with my father, it proved the point that we're ready to be working together. Eventually, when we understood each other, it became smooth sailing from then, and expansion and growth became our main category and our main business, and we wanted to grow it together.
Our midterm plan is for me to be able to transition to the next generation. And our long-term plan is for them to be able to transition to a professional team in the coming years after my retirement. Being a father is one of the hardest tasks in my life. You have to live by example because the foundation for your kids relies on what they see in you. Although my family lives to eat rather than eat to live, we work hard and we play hard. We try to balance our life. We have our weekends together. We do our quick break and long break together. As much as possible, the whole family.
Well, there's a Chinese saying that the first generation builds the business, the second generation grows the business, and the third generation spends it. And a lot of the Chinese family's intention is to go beyond that third generation. I, being in the second generation, am tasked to grow the business beyond what my father has done for us. And hopefully be able to pass that on to my children and build a legacy that my father has built. We have to understand that what I'm doing today is in respect of what my father has built for us. And moving forward, what I give to my children will be a homage to what I've done and what my father has done and the legacy of the D family.
Chinese by blood, Filipino by heart. #Beyond Borders is brought to you by Cardinal Santos Medical Center, Evergreen Cereal, AgriPro Premier Nutrition Inc., Global Diesel and GU Engineering, Nation Paper Products and Printing Corporation, Ford Tractor Philippines, your long-term agriculture partner, Japan Parts Trading Center, Dash Cargo, propelling possibilities. For your copying and printing needs, it must be sharp. Philippine Sipyok Songlim Musical Federation Association. Vespo German-made PPR pipes and Luftonic German-engineered 8-stage air purifiers by Tech Global Incorporated. Chua Beng Teng. Alejandro Ko. Jimmy C. Nung Family. Enrico Chua. Lee Pue Chin. Albert Ko. Stephen Sia. Rosalina Yasay. Anson Tan. Sherwin Choi. Chinese by blood, Filipino by heart.
If you are to ask me, like to choose between doing it the easy way or doing what you like to do, basically choosing your passion, I think I would still choose the one that I'm passionate about. There's no guarantee for success, for everything. But at the least, I feel like when you do something you're passionate about, there will be no regrets. Hi, I'm Annabelle Chua. I'm the founder and CFO of HTCG Premium Food Concepts. I grew up in Chinatown. I would say it's quite fun. We always have family gatherings, not only during weekends, but also on weekdays. My parents started a small business, we're into the importation of spare parts. And I remember it was, I think where we live in is also where the office is. I can say that we have really witnessed how my parents work very hard. And they work basically 24/7. Anytime a customer would call and need something, we're always there. Growing up, food is always an essential part of any gathering. My mom is a very good cook. When I graduated, I also started importing food stuff like potato chips from Hong Kong. And for the longest time, I've been importing rice as well from Thailand and from China. Me and my husband, we were introduced, but instantly I think it was destiny. I immediately felt like he was the husband that I will have, and he's the person that I will marry. And it was just very easy. We both share the same passion with food, and I admire him for his dedication, and he's a very hardworking person. My husband loves tennis, so we went to Shanghai to watch a Masters tennis game, and we just came across with this restaurant, which is Bellagio. We immediately fell in love with it. I remember, I think we visited the restaurant maybe 4 times in that trip. So when we came back, we kept on saying, we should have this, we should have this. So we ended up calling them every day. My husband, as he is, he's very determined. So he kept on calling them, and finally we got invited to meet them. So I guess in 3 days of discussion, they gave the brand to us to open in Philippines. We're the first one and the only one that they granted international franchise. Everything is in Chinese. They don't have any training manuals that's in English. It's very hard to find people here, even Chinese, or Filipino Chinese, to be able to read Chinese words. We normally speak Fukien in our own homes. Fortunately, I know some, but I also had to learn a lot. We had to create our own training manuals, or we had to do all our own recipes. Obviously, they had to guide us, but we had to write everything ourselves. This is Lugang Cafe, and this is our 4th store in SM Aura. Welcome, please come in. As you can see, our interior is very modern. This is inspired by the Bellagio Shanghai. And we actually always retain the special elements from China, which is the vertical mirrors, vertical stainless bars that mirrors the whole dining area. And these 2 panels are also from China. The Bellagio franchisor normally sends us some of the new elements they have. And we also have our own in-house designer. So we incorporate those elements, and then we submit the design to the franchisor. Bringing in the brand Lugang, I think, is a life-changing thing for us, for me and my husband. Because before, when we were doing wholesaling and importation, our life was very simple. We would start the morning calling the office, making some calls, and by afternoon, we're already free. We're already having coffee. But with this brand that we so desperately wanted to bring in, We never thought that it was really granted to us. And because of that, we couldn't back out anymore. And so we were very determined to make it a success. Our HTCG started as a family-owned business. And I can say that those people holding the core positions are family members. I understand that this could be very, very challenging, and it is indeed. But I think the advantages outweighs the disadvantages. The security of the loyalty of each and everybody. I think this is very important for the success of the business. One of the key factors for the success of a restaurant, I think, is the location. You should be able to reach out to your captured market. Obviously, aside from giving them still the good service you have, the good food, that's why we have branches in SM MOA, SM Mega Mall, SM Aura. These are all the premium outlets for SM. So we have prepared today the 3 original dishes from Shanghai. This is the chicken scallion. This is the spicy fish tofu in clay pot. And this is our popular 3 cups chicken. And this is our very own pork xiaolong pao. We were able to get a xiaolong pao chef, and we slowly perfected it and included that in the Lugang Cafe. In hindsight, I think I realized that I got the influence of both my parents, my dad being a businessman and my mom being a good cook. I combined both of those to what I am doing today. Operating a restaurant is not something I imagined that I would have, but I think now, I think everything makes sense now. I think being successful is already a bonus at that point. Most difficult thing in a person's life is to be able to find what you love to do, what your passion is. I think to be able to find that and be able to do that is already a success itself.
Chinese by blood, Filipino by heart. Hashtag Beyond Borders is brought to you by Cardinal Santos Medical Center, Ever Bilena, PG Flex Linoleum and Maruyama Tarpaulin, Evergreen Cereal, AgriPro Premier Nutrition Inc., Global Diesel and GU Engineering, Nation Paper Products and Printing Corporation, Ford Tractor Philippines, your long-term agriculture partner, Japan Parts Trading Center, Dash Cargo, propelling possibilities, Philflex Wires and Cables, Chua Beng Tang, Alejandro Ko, Jimmy C, Nung Family, Albert Ko, Stephen Sia, Rosalina Yasay, Lee Hongming.
Might sound like a cliche, but work hard, play hard. At the end of the day, we're all working so hard, but it really has to be, everyone's talking about ROI, return on investment, but no one really talks about return on time. Time that I lose from, being at work and not seeing my children grow up, and, being able to experience things or do things with my kids that I could never do when they turn teenagers already.
I think work-life balance is incredibly important because if you spend all of your time just obsessing over work and not really paying attention to your relationships, your family, yourself, your own health. At a certain point, something's gotta give. May bibigay talaga kasi tao lang tayo may limitations din tayo And that's something that I wish that the entire community realized more.
I think work-life balance for Chinoys is something that's valued by the younger generation. Because our parents and grandparents, I don't think they were too concerned about work-life balance. It was all work, work, work. They lived where they work. You know, the traditional image of the workplace downstairs, the living quarters upstairs. I think that has changed. You know, running a school, I see that in how involved the fathers are in their kids' education. They're willing to spend the time away from work to be with their kids, to be with their families.
For me, modern Chinoy is one that has the attributes of Chinoy, which is perseverance, integrity, discipline, hardworking. These are all instilled in their minds and in their life. I think these are the very foundation of a Chinoy. Saying that a modern Chinoy, this is basically allowing the passion to grow in you. So combining both, I think, is what makes a modern Chinoy a success.
I've been living the Chinese way through my belief in filial piety. I guess that should be transferred from generations to generations. Filial piety, I think I pass on that to my kids as it was passed on to me by my parents. That tradition and value should stay on for a real Chinoy. In business, I guess integrity. It's not all about business and profit. It should be profit with honor.
Chinese by blood, Filipino by heart. Hashtag Beyond Borders was brought to you by Doña Maria Brown Rice, My Kind of Rice from SL Agritech. BA Securities, your trading partner in Asia Pacific. Dash Cargo, propelling possibilities. SM Supermalls,